Dividing powers. So we're going to start with a quick investigation. We're going to look at some examples. So example number 1 has the question 3 to the power of 5 divided by 3 to the power of 2. So 3 to the power of 5 is 5 3s all written out being multiplied together. And 3 to the power of 2 means you're going to multiply 3 by itself twice, so 3 times 3. And then if I evaluate the numerator, 3 to the power of 5 is 243. And on the bottom, 3 squared is 9. And 243 divided by 9 is 27. 27 is actually a power of 3. It is 3 to the power of 3. We're going to look at example number 2. So we have 6 to the power of 7 divided by 6 to the power of 3. So I'm going to write it as a fraction. I write out 6 multiplied by itself 7 times, divided by 6 multiplied by itself 3 times. 6 to the power of 7 is 279,936. 6 to the power of 6 times 6 times 6 is 216. When I divide the two numbers together, I get 1,296. And 1,296 is actually a power of 6. It is 6 to the power of 4. So what I'm going to ask you to do is to ask yourself what the shortcut is for getting from the original question to the final answer without doing any of the steps in the middle. So I want you to think about that original question, the final answer. How could you get from the question to the answer without having to do all of those steps? Hopefully you noticed that if you subtract the exponents, 5 take away 2 is 3, and 7 take away 3 is 4. So when you are dividing powers with the same base, you're going to leave the base the same and subtract our exponents. So we're going to try a couple quick examples. So it says simplify each of the following using exponent laws. So I have 2 to the 7 divided by 2 to the 5. So I notice they have the same base, and I notice that we're dividing. So I'm going to subtract my two exponents. So I'm going to get 2 to the power of 7 take away 5, and 7 minus 5 is 2, so I get 2 to the power of 2. I could work that out, but it didn't ask me to evaluate, it just asked me to simplify. My second question, x to the power of 4 times x to the power of 11 divided by x to the power of 7. Now there's a little bit more to this question than there was in the previous one. I have some multiplication in the numerator that I need to work out before I can do my division. So we learned in the previous video that if you multiply two things with the same base, you can add their exponents. So x to the 14 times x to the 11, I can add 14 and 11 to get x to the power of 25, and then that is still divided by x to the 7. When you are dividing two things with the same base, you leave the base the same and subtract the exponents. So 25 take away 7 is 18, so I get x to the power of 18. Our last example, 5 to the 20 times 5 to the 3 divided by 5 times 5 to the 13. Now I notice there's multiplication and division in this question, so I am going to start by simplifying the numerator, simplifying the denominator, and then doing the division. So 5 to the 20 times 5 to the 3, I add those exponents together to get 5 to the 23. Now in the denominator, I have a 5 by itself, and it has a secret exponent of 1. So 5 to the 1 times 5 to the 13, I add those exponents because we're multiplying to get 5 to the 14. And then my last step is to do the division. They have the same base, so I subtract the exponents. 23 take away 14 gives me 5 to the power of 9. And that's how you divide powers.